Hi guys, happy live. I am trying it different today and in front of my kitchen because I know it's super dark when I sit in the living room, so we will see how this goes. Hopefully you guys are all well. I can't believe it is already February. Hope you had a great day. I know some of you had a snow day, some of you had a PA day, so thank you for popping in. I will do my usual, which is answer your guys' questions, as well as go over some happy news and some real estate updates. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat below. Otherwise, I will just go, hi Keelan, how are you? I will just go through ones that have come in throughout the week, okay? Again, hopefully you guys are well. And Keelan, nice to see you. Thank you for popping in. So the first question comes from Stacy in Baxter. So Stacy in Baxter says, I am redoing my kitchen and I was told white kitchens are out. Is that true? As I stand in front of my white kitchen. I didn't just do this white kitchen. It was here when I bought it, but so yeah, there's still people obviously doing white kitchens, but there has been more tones, like whether it's gray, olive, etc. Some people are just doing them in the island. Some people are doing the whole kitchen, etc. I've also seen a couple of like navy almost ones. Doesn't mean that there aren't still going to be white kitchens that go out there and some black kitchens, etc. But definitely not as popular as they were before. But I mean, if white is your favorite, go for it. There are still going to be lots of white crisp kitchens. And thank you for asking. So let me see here. Oh yeah, playing music with your eyes. So there was a fellow and he is a music professor. And one of his friends was paralyzed in a car crash, or not car crash, motorcycle accident. And where was this? I'm forgetting where it was. Oh, in Greece. So he is obviously techie with computers and so forth and a music professor. So he was able to do this technology where he tracks people's eye movements and kind of like Guitar Hero, but obviously Guitar Hero you're playing with your hands and so forth. You know, they can pick, okay, I want a piano and they look over here. I want a guitar, I look over here. I want like A plus, not A plus, A minor. I don't remember music notes, E, A, E, F, G. I really don't remember. But so people can play music. So there's now over 650 people that are either quadriplegic or paraplegic, etc., that are playing music with their eyes. Obviously more quadriplegic than paraplegic. And it's called iHeart. So I thought that was cool. The next question, sorry, it's harder here in my kitchen than in the living room. The next question is from Daryl in Barrie. So again, you guys can write your questions in the comments if you want, or I'll just answer ones that have come in throughout the week. So Daryl in Barrie said, if you were getting a mortgage right now, would you get a fixed or a variable rate? I'm getting a call from California. I don't know who's calling me from California. Daryl, thank you for asking. As you could probably, some people might suggest or guess, I would do a fixed rate. I'm obviously a mortgage, not a mortgage. I'm not a mortgage broker. I'm a real estate broker. But with all the talks of the rates going up in the fall and winter of 2022, you know, if you can lock in for a fixed rate, that does make more sense to me than a variable. But if you ask a mortgage broker, that is obviously the best bet as opposed to asking myself. But that is just what I would think would make the most sense. But again, it's not my area of expertise. So the next thing is how a 9-year-old saved her family's life. So there was a little girl and she came home and basically there hadn't been power for quite some time. So her family was using a generator. So both of her parents were unconscious from all the carbon monoxide. And it was just from a portable generator. So she grabbed her dad's cell phone, but it needed his face recognition. So she went back into the room where both of her parents were unconscious and got his face recognition, went out of the room, called 911, and next thing they know, the parents wake up in the hospital, and obviously they are alive and saved with the help of their 9-year-old daughter. So I just thought that was cute, and obviously very brave of that little girl. So next question comes from Becky in Barrie. So Becky in Barrie said, if you could buy one of the following, which would you buy? 1, a 2-bedroom condo close to ski hills 2 hours from the GTA. 2, an island getaway that's 3 season, 5 hours from the GTA. Or 3, a detached home walking distance to a deeded beach 45 minutes from the GTA. I like your question actually a lot, Becky. So without researching at all, I would pick the one that was 45 minutes from the GTA with the deeded beach access. And my last pick would be the island one that was 5 hours or however far away it was. I don't tend to like islands. Somebody asked me about an island last week just because obviously you can't get to them year round. And then even when you can get to them, like, are your guests supposed to have their own boat? Are you picking them up? It's obviously a pain, etc. And then what about the in-between season? And like, what if normally at this time the ice is frozen, but this time it isn't? And I just find it's a bit complicated. And then the 2-bedroom condo could be a good idea, but I mean, I don't know if your fees are $800 a month or $200 a month, etc. So that obviously cuts into your profit. So you would need to do some homework on that and see how much competition you have. Maybe around that ski resort, etc. There's tons of rentals and too much competition. I don't know without doing the research. So just without researching at all, I would say that one with the deeded beach access, 45 minutes from the GTA is my answer without looking into anything further. Hi Jake, how are you? It's hard to see sometimes just by people's little bubbles. Okay, so there's one more thing before I do real estate. So basically about being nice to everyone. So there's this lady that worked, or still works, I should say, at Dunkin' Donuts. And this lady used to go through every morning and get her donuts and her coffee, etc. And then after 3 years of doing so and chatting with the ladies, she noticed that the one lady was gone, and she found out that she had been evicted from her home. And luckily this lady knew a lot of people and could pull a lot of strings, and eventually was able to buy this woman a 3-bedroom home for her children and have it fully furnished. So just from this lady being nice to her and always positive, when she went and got her coffee in the morning, the lady that worked at Dunkin' Donuts got a free home for her family. So be nice to everybody. You never know who might be looking out for you when you're going through a hard time. So real estate. Okay, so they are going to possibly do a speculation tax. So in December, one of the councilmen brought it up in the city of Toronto. And so it's not official yet. They're going to have a meeting tomorrow again about it. And they are hoping that if it goes into place, it'll slow the real estate market a little bit. Whether it will or not is kind of up in the air. And a lot of economists are afraid that it might do some good, but it might do more damage than it does good, and it'll more hurt the mom and pop type people trying to get into the market, as opposed to investors or the people that have more money, etc. So even if city council says yes to it, the provincial government still has to A-OK it. So don't worry about, as of tomorrow, there might be some extra speculation tax, and even if there was, it would just be in Toronto, not in Simcoe County, okay? So in 2021, as I'm sure you are aware, was a crazy year in the real estate market. A lot of people ask, is that going to be the same in 2022? Is the bubble going to burst? Is it, basically just going to nosedive? Are the interest rates going to go up at the end of the year and then suddenly, the market's going to buckle, etc.? So it's not expected to go up like it has gone crazy. It's not going to flatline. It's not going to go down. It's still going to go up. Just not the extent of last year, but it's still going to go up, okay? So economists have said that they expect there to be tremendous activity in 2022, and it's still supposed to have a record year because of our lack of inventory and incredibly high demand. So they're expecting over 579,000 people to buy or sell their homes in 2022, which is down actually over 13.1% from last year. But that doesn't mean that prices are down just because the number of people moving is down, okay? And again, this isn't because of the low interest rates. It is because the lack of inventory. So that's the main reason. Yes, obviously interest rates help, but the lack of inventory is the main reason that economists are saying our market is so crazy. And so what they're saying to basically level out the market is that this year there would have to be anywhere from 180 to 250,000 new listings on top of the already approximately 580,000 that they think there's going to be. So if you know 180 to 250,000 people that also want to list their house that weren't already planning on it, please tell them to do so to level out the market a little bit. So lots of towns before, far from Toronto, far from Vancouver, etc., did not ever hear of bidding wars before. They never had multiple offers. They often sat for months, sometimes even years. It would be 2.5 years on the market, etc. And now these small sleepy towns are getting bidding wars. They're going over asking. They're getting firm, no conditions, no finance, etc. cash deals. So that is something that is going on outside of the city. So there were a few economists that were surveyed recently, and they were asked to say one word for 2022 for the real estate market. And one word that I found suitable was fierce. One said competitive, etc. But fierce was the main one that caught my eye for the market in 2022. So there was a recent study that showed that more than a quarter of Canadians are between their mid-20s to 40, so they're millennials. So there's 10.5 million millennials in Canada out of the 38 million people that live in Canada. So obviously they're right at that prime home buying stage, first-time home buyers, etc. So there's a lot of people, and that's actually up 8.3% from 5 years ago, how many people were in the first-time home buying stage, okay? Also, as I've said lots of times in the past about immigration, so there's supposed to be over 411,000 new people coming to Canada in 2022, which obviously is not going to help with our home shortage. However, a lot of them do go to rentals first. Some of them buy right off the get-go, but some are not some. Most are just in rentals, okay? So a lot of people are leaving Ontario. So sometimes they already own in Ontario and they're just like, we just want to cash out, etc. They want to go east. They want to go to Florida. They want to go to Alberta, etc. And other ones who don't own are leaving just because they can't get in the market. So they're finding cheaper places to live. We had somebody the other day go to Charlotte, North Carolina. So it just depends. They're just really weighing out their options of what they can make in certain cities and so forth. But we are losing more people in Ontario than normal. So for example, in Alberta, they have never seen even 1,000 people come from different provinces in 1 year. And in 2021, they saw over 4,500 people come from different provinces. So lots of people, again, leaving province just to find a cheaper place to live. Hi, Grace. How are you? It's hard to see people in the bubbles. Okay, so there was also a real estate agency in Calgary, so they track everything. And they said just in January alone, they had more than 41% of people more than 41% from last January compared to this January of people that clicked from Ontario. So obviously, again, people are just checking their options. What can $600,000 buy them in Ontario? What can it buy out there, and so forth? And unfortunately, a lot of people are leaving Ontario. So main questions that people have been asking. So the first thing is, what can they expect when offering when there's multiple offers? So when you're offering on a home and there's multiple offers, you're going to be told how many other offers there are. So are you one of 10? Are you one of 3? Are you one of 27, etc.? You do not know what the other offers are, okay? So you don't know, the first one's 900,000, you're 911, somebody else is 1 million, somebody else is 1.1, etc. You do not know what the other offers are. You only know how many other offers there are, as well as if any of them are multiple representation. So what multiple representation means is that they are either from the person that has the home listed. Let's just say it's Joe Schmo. So it means that Joe Schmo has somebody that one of his own clients has offered, or multiple representation means somebody at Joe Schmo's office also has a buyer that's come to the property as well, okay? So those are the only things you know. You don't know, do the other people have a house to sell? Do the other people have an inspection clause and we don't? Do the other people have 100,000 down? We only have 10,000 down. You don't know any of those details. Sometimes the agent will hint like, hey, your deposit's a little bit lacking, or hey, we really want a closing of April 28th and you have April 3rd, etc. So they might give you some hints, but they don't have to. And again, you're not going to know the details of other offers, unfortunately. So that is the main things that you'll know. A lot of people ask, which unfortunately is hard to say, how can I find a home that doesn't have bidding wars? So I've had a lot of people ask that. So sometimes you'll see on a listing, it'll say, like on realtor.ca, it'll say not holding offers. So it means they're not expecting to get over asking, etc. The only thing about that is, and the catch-22 is, sometimes they say 24 hours or 48 hours irrevocability. And what that means is that if an offer comes in, for example, on Friday, they want that 24 or 48 hours, whatever they said, for the seller to decide. And oftentimes in that 24 or 48 hours, another offer comes in. So, or even 2 or 3. So it might still go into a bidding war, even though they weren't planning on it. But let's just say, instead of say listing at $699 and getting $850, they might just list at $859 and not hold offers, okay? It's hard to see people's bubble, but I think it's either Miranda or Chrissy. It's hard to tell, but thank you for popping in. Another common question that I've gotten over the past couple of weeks It says, so we offered on a house and the seller took a lower offer. Don't they have to take the highest offer? So they don't actually have to take the highest offer or even any of the offers. They could say, hey, we decided we don't like any of the offers and we're pulling our house off the market. Or they could say, we don't like any of the offers and we're going to list higher. A lot of people think they can only go down in price but not up in price, which is not true. They could also take a lower offer. So let's just say you offered them $1 million, but they took $985. But let's just say the $985 person had $500,000 down and you only had $2,000 down. So they might have liked their deposit more. Maybe they liked their closing date more. Maybe they had an August closing date and you wanted a February 7th closing date. And the people were like, I can't move. That's like next week or this week, whenever that is. So they don't have to take the highest offer, nor do they honestly have to take any of the offers if they don't want, okay? And then I get a lot of people asking, like, if they're listed for 800, how do we know if they want $1 million or 1.2 or 1.3, etc., or is it 800 and they only want 795 or what have you? Unfortunately, that's unknown. Obviously, most sellers want the most money they could possibly get because it's usually their biggest investment of their entire life. However, it is unknown. So if they're holding offers, they don't know either. So let's just say 6 offers come in. People are told there's 6 offers. Put whatever the highest is you're comfortable. If it goes over that and you say, good, I wouldn't have paid that amount anyways, then you know you did what was right for you. And if you say, damn, I would have paid that amount, then you didn't do the highest that you were comfortable with, and you will probably learn on the next one that you offer on. So that is basically, it for knowing that, because unfortunately, you don't know what they're looking for. You can look at the comparables. So the comparables might show, hey, it should be around 1.2. But sometimes even if the comparables show it should be around 1.2, doesn't mean it might not sell for 1.45 or 1.5 in this market is crazy. So you can't actually even go off of that anymore, I should say. And with bidding wars, are people doing home inspections? So only about 15% of people now are doing home inspections. Whereas when I first started, I would say 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10 people were doing home inspections. So that has definitely shifted. And even of those 15% that are doing home inspections, a lot of them are doing pre-home inspections. So they're not putting it in as a condition. Let's just say the house is listed on Thursday and they're looking at offers on Tuesday. They'll go, let's just say on Friday, and then they're like, oh, I really like this home. And then they'll bring through an inspector to do a pre-inspection on Saturday with them. So instead of, say, a 3-hour inspection, they're doing maybe a 45-minute or an hour inspection, okay? So that is what a lot of people are doing. A thing about not getting an inspection is basically it's obviously usually people's biggest investment in their entire life. So if they don't know if there's any issues, as well as because people are shopping at the top of their price point, majority of people, because the market is so crazy. So let's just say it does have some issues that maybe are $15,000 to rectify. They don't usually have that extra money to do so. So that is possibly an issue. So main things that come up in home inspections are mold, structural issues, bad wiring, poor wiring, and so forth. So those are like the main things. And some people, we've even had clients doing inspections after they buy. So they buy the home and they're like, hey, we know we already bought it from, we know we can't back out, but we would just kind of like a textbook, not a textbook, but like a book of some things to keep an eye on, some things to fix, and so forth. So some people are even doing inspections after they bought, just so they know what they have to keep on top of. So in Barrie, in the last 7 days, there's been 59 new listings. And of those 59 new listings, 5 of them conditionally sold and 58 sold firm. So obviously 63 sold of the only 59 listed. So that means 4 were from previous weeks that had not sold yet. And 71 people got keys to their home in the last week in Barrie. In Innisfil in the last week, there were only 7 new listings, which super sucks if you're trying to look in Innisfil. 6 of them have already sold, and 17 people got keys to their properties in Innisfil last week, which means they bought prior. In Aurelia in the last 7 days, there was only 5 new listings, and we had one of those new listings. 1 of them conditionally sold and 10 sold firm. So 11 sold, even though only 5 were listed. So some were from previous weeks, etc. And 14 people got keys last week. In Springwater, there were 8 new listings, and 2 of them, hi Tiffany, happy live. 2 of them sold conditionally, and 10 of them sold firm. So 12 altogether, but only 8 were new. So obviously, again, going into prior week's inventory, and 8 people got keys in Springwater last week. And then in Simcoe County as a whole in the past week, there were 153 new listings. Of those 153, 8 went conditional, and 148 sold. So 168 total, but either sold or went conditional, but they only had 153 new listings. So obviously our lack of inventory, right? More selling than we actually have available. And the next thing I'm going to do is a question. So next question is Candace from Innisfil. So Candace from Innisfil said, what happens if someone buys my house, gives me a deposit for $50,000, for example, and doesn't buy it? Then I sell it for more to somebody else. Do I keep the $50,000? That's a really good question, Candace. Thank you for asking. So it doesn't automatically go to you. So the Real Estate Council of Ontario has to say like, hey, you can release it, as well as the Ontario Real Estate Association. So it doesn't just automatically go to you. For example, we have $5,000 in our trust account from somebody, I forget what street it was, behind Bayfield there. And the people backed out, they didn't buy it, and then they sold it to somebody else for $18,000 higher. But that money is still in there because it hasn't been released. So basically the judge or the governing body or whatever has to say, yes, okay, you get it back. You could say like there was damages and so forth. And definitely if you sold it for less, you could show that, hey, I sold it for less and so forth, but it doesn't automatically just go back in your bank account. It does. We can't just release it. We do have to get like professional, not say lawyers, but they do have to tell us from our governing body that it's allowed to be released. And so Kozlov, that was the name of where it happened for us. But yeah, you don't automatically just get the $50,000, unfortunately. But it's very rare that that happens. I've only seen it twice in the whole time I've ever been in the business. But thank you for asking that question. So obviously giving back is good. So there was a lady and she had lost her job about a month ago. This was in the States. And she found $1 on the ground, $1 bill. Obviously they don't have loonies over there. And she went and she bought a lottery ticket. She won $100. And most people, obviously not having a job and being a single parent, would take that $100 and buy groceries or whatever. But she ended up donating it to the police foundation near her home because her daughter was murdered in 2012. And she just said that the police officers were so amazing to her and her family. And this fellow a police officer was wounded on the job. So she saw this, not GoFundMe, but this thing, and gave him the $100, and she did it anonymously. And then the police basically tracked her down. They set up a GoFundMe for her since she had lost her job and she had given the $100 that she had won. And now there's a GoFundMe and there's over $168,000 that has been given to her. So see, if you give kindness, you get kindness, and spread love, you receive love. So next question comes from Jake and Chrissy in Oro. So Jake and Chrissy in Oro said, we rent a basement apartment and the owners are selling and want us to move before selling so it can show better, and said that they will not list it until we find somewhere to live first. Don't they need more of a reason for us to leave? Thank you, Jake and Chrissy, for asking. You are correct. So they can't ask you to leave because they're selling. They can say if you're month to month and they put it up for sale and the new person wants to live there themselves, or they have a family member, it's got a list like sibling, child, parent, guardian, or something like that. But when they haven't even listed it yet, they can't say, hey, we're giving you your notice. So unless you're behind on rent and they've gone through the steps of L1 and all that kind of stuff, or unless they're doing major renovations, they can't just say, hey, you're leaving. So it doesn't matter if they give you 6 months notice or whatever, like way longer than normal, you don't have to leave. So I would just say that to them. Or they could possibly do a buyout to you. You could say, hey, I want first and last month's rent plus blah, blah compensation to leave, or you don't have to leave. Okay, thank you for asking that question. Next thing, there was a fellow, and less than a month after getting his open heart surgery, he was in Massachusetts, he got like all these flowers and get well soon cards and so forth. And in one of the get well soon cards, it had scratch tickets for a crossword. And the first 3 letters, when he scratched them, were his initials, which he just kind of giggled about. And then as he's scratching, it said heart, and he ended up winning $1 million. So not only did he get a new heart through his open heart surgery, but also he won $1 million by scratching the word heart. So I just thought that was cute. And he's going to give some of the money to his sons. He offered to buy his wife a car, but she said no. And the person that bought him the lottery ticket, he's going to give him some money as well. So that was that. The next question is from John and Jackie in Oro. We're contemplating moving out east, but know our home is very outdated. How do we know what to put money into and what we won't get return on investment? Thank you, John and Jackie, for asking. So the main things people look at are the kitchens, the bathrooms, the floors. The main things they ask are, when was the roof done, when was the furnace done, when were the windows done, assuming it's not oil or propane, etc. So for example, I had a client show me a picture of the outside of her home the other day. It looks beautiful, but she spent about $85,000 on it. And then when you go inside, it still has an original kitchen, original bathrooms, and the floors are not so great. So I personally would have done the inside first, as opposed to the outside, because the outside they're going to be all yay, and then they're going to get inside and be disappointed. And also she could have done, you know, the kitchen, the bathroom, for less than $85,000. So I wouldn't have done that. But without knowing the specifics to your home, I don't know exactly, but there is no inventory. So even if you, for example, redid the kitchen and you did white like this and somebody else wanted black, or you put in hardwood and they wanted vinyl, or and so forth. So you could just leave it as a blank slate and test the market, and you could say, hey, I want $800,000 for my home, and you can list it and see if you get it. And if you don't get it, you could just stay. It's a better position to be in, and then you could always do the renos at that time. But kind of hard for me to say without seeing it, but I would probably just test the market because there's no inventory. But those are the main things they look at, okay? The kitchens, bathrooms, and floors. And then one more thing was, there was a man that was freed after 43 years in prison. He was sentenced for a triple murder in 1978, and he went to jail in 1979 by a lady that basically picked him out of a lineup. And then she said that she wanted the case reviewed, and she ended up passing away before that court date happened. And then in her will, it said that she wanted it reviewed. So they did review it. They found there was no DNA and so forth, and he was freed. And where he lives, they have a $50 a day thing if you are wrongly convicted, which, so I don't know if it's like a common thing there, but that would have equaled over $785,000 for the 43 years he was in there. But conveniently, they let him out and didn't give him anything. So somebody started a GoFundMe, and now he's got over $1.6 million. So that is great, because obviously 43 years is an insane amount of time for something he did not do. So anyways, that's it for me. I hope you guys fight for what you believe in, and you follow your hearts, and you spread love wherever you go. Have a super night, and thank you for popping in.